I think this is working now. Good. Oh no, did it? This is working now. Good. Oh no, did it? Oh, it can. Oh, we have a whole new. Oh my god, it's a whole new live. This is working now. Oh my goodness, how annoying! Ow. Mm. Okay, so we had to do a whole new stream apparently. I was afraid that was going to happen, but you guys couldn't hear me anyway. So, I need to, but it doesn't have anything. I'm so close to just ending this right now. I'm sorry. I'm not usually like this, but this is really frustrating. Hopefully you guys can hear me. Please let me know if you're here. And should I continue with this live tonight? Should I just dump it in the toilet and come back some other day and do this? I don't know. I'm like, good God. Everything. I thought you could hear me when you couldn't hear me even after I came back, and nobody could hear me for like the last 15 minutes. So that's kind of ridiculous. But here we are in a new stream. Apparently we're live. I think you can hear me. Please verify if you can hear me. I see that you're back, Nicole. Thank you. I apologize for all the shit. Just give me a second here to duplicate, because everything we have now here in this live stream is completely generic. It didn't keep any of the information. And my brain is just like, this is like the last thing my brain can really handle right now. But here we are. So give me a second. I'm only going to do the basic stuff here. So if other people come across this, they can understand what this live is about with the thumbnail and the description and the title. I think that's all I have to do. Wasn't that bad, actually. Hopefully, is it saving? There we go. Okay, I think that actually worked. So I apologize. I'm going to delete the entire other stream because that was ridiculous. What is the point in that other stream? Half the time you guys couldn't hear me and I wasn't aware of it. So we're going to give it a couple minutes for people to understand what's going on and come back here to this new live, and we'll start fresh right from the beginning, clearing the air. I'm going to light some sage. I don't like the vibe that was going on there with that one. So I'm going to, there's something going on with that stream. I don't know what. So if people came in funky, hopefully they're gone, or hopefully they farted it all out in their own right. Cause I don't know. I don't know what to say about that. It's not the vibes and the energy that I usually have. So thank you. Yes, you can hear me. If you are exhausted. Now I can't handle like other stuff on top of it, you know? You know what is great with these videos is the transcript feature, so you can come back and take notes. Yeah, that's totally cool. I love that you can now with the AI attached to YouTube. Now it has parameters. So not all videos will do that, unfortunately. I guess there's like a minimum and a maximum. You have to be in the sweet spot for it to do timestamps and notes and stuff like that. Excuse me. But anyway, please let me know if everybody's here. Laura, are you back? I see that Karen and Adrian are here. I don't know that. Laura, if you're here, please let me know. Nicole, the other Nicole, if you're here, please let me know. I really thought more people would show up for this one because I think it's pretty interesting, but that's fine. We are on. Okay, we are on X. Okay, cool. Yeah, funky energy. Yeah, I'm going to delete this one. Oh no, cancel this one. That is just dumb. That is just dumb. Okay, we still here. All right, I'm going to give it a second. Let's just clear the air. Before we get started, everybody, we need a mood boost. I'm going to have some tea. I'm going to put on a couple of my, excuse me, a couple of my rings. And I think this lovely bracelet that Nicole made for me, Nicole Smith. Take a look at that. Just can that shut? Oh, and I ordered a new light and I ordered a new camera. So things are going to be looking better here in the next week. I'm super excited about that. Because the actual really nice camera that I had just stopped working, was not looking good. So putting on some rings here. I don't wear rings all the time. I get really sensitive to all that energy. So, only at certain times. So looks like maybe we capped out here. Thanks for coming back, guys. Let me know. I think there's 4 of you here, but I only heard from 2 of you. So Laura, if you're here, I am not aware of that yet. Or who else? Nicole. But we're going to get going here pretty soon. Yeah, citrine. Yeah, there is just maybe a minute delay, if that, or 20 seconds. I don't know. It's not a lot, but okay. I'm gonna light some sage. Give it just a couple more minutes before we come in and get started with this watch along, you guys, officially. Again, I apologize for all the mishaps earlier. And if anything, we can start this one. We'll take it to whatever length that we're meant to take it to, or I'm guided to take it to. Like I said, it's like an hour, and let me take a look here. It's an hour and 24 minutes, so I doubt we're going to get through the whole thing, but we'll get through some of it for sure. And just make sure you guys can still hear me. What is this stone on my necklace? Oh, isn't it so pretty? It's actually a Swarovski crystal. Too much light. I'll take a picture of it. So it's glass, essentially. It's a Swarovski. I can never say that right. Crystal. So it's not actually a regular crystal, but I love it anyway because, and I was guided to get it because of how pretty it is, and the colors are amazing. And I love glass. Anyway, glass is made from crystals, so it's still legitimate. It still carries energies and frequencies and still receives. And yeah, it's very, very powerful. Um, and yeah, it's the only one I'm wearing today. I put on other ones, but I took them off. Okay, so looks like I'm not sure what's going on with our viewers, if I just lost everybody or what is going on. Because I'm only seeing a couple people here, but maybe it's wrong. I don't know. It's very confusing what's happening here. Oh, thank you. I know it is so pretty. I love it. And it has really cool, even in the back, it has like cutouts there. Yeah, it's really pretty. I love it. Okay, so we're gonna get going. People are here, people are not here. We're gonna get going and just let it roll. Um, and the way that I have to do it, I'm not going to be seeing your, like, you can go ahead and comment, but I have to go into the other, obviously the other window, and I don't think it's going to do the picture in picture thing. Just give me a second here to fix this. And I'm starting about a minute in. Again, this is the Sara Landon one, urgent. The awakening accelerates in 2026. The council on your power to choose. So, the way I know the council is the divine high council of light that I am also connected to and a part of and work with and work through. I don't know if that's the same that she's talking about. Like I said, I don't know her at all. I've never heard her or anything. So this is very, very new to me. And we shall see. Oh, actually, I'll just keep the chat open here. Yeah, I'll just keep the chat open here so I can take a look. Yeah, my brain is just definitely not firing on all cylinders, but I probably will do better once I start channeling myself. So, without further ado, let's just get into it, guys. Hopefully, we hear everything just fine. I'll check in here in the chat. Just please let me know that you do, and let's do it. Oh, you can't see. Okay, never mind. Hold on. Maybe I can't get this straight to you guys. Oh my god, I've never had so many problems trying to get. You guys are saints for hanging in here with me. Seriously. Woo! Let's try this again.
For your daily life, your nervous system, your sense of safety, and your ability to choose your own path in uncertain times. So, welcome back to the show, Sara. Are you ready to shine?
Hello, Michael, and the amazing Inspire Nation community. I am so happy to be here, and I'm excited for our conversation today. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for coming here, and thank you especially at this time, because for all of us, none of us are escaping. I don't even know that's the word. I had the shirt from Cindy Dale from a couple of days ago. I survived 2025. It's an interesting time for all of us. So before we dive right into things, why does the council say this moment feels so intense and destabilizing for so many people?
Oh, because big transformations and huge shifts are happening in our own consciousness and in the collective consciousness. And we are becoming more clear on our choice for peace and joy and love and harmony. And while we may not be here to fix a broken world, Your inner state, your level of consciousness, what you choose has a profound and powerful impact on your reality, on the mass conscious collective in your world, everyone you interact with. And so you do matter and you are important and you are part of, yes, something greater. And what you choose for yourself in every moment is your contribution to the greater collective consciousness.
Thank you. All right. Since you said these words, forgive me, I can hear the people behind me right now. Broken world. Are we living in a broken world? What does that mean?
You're really not. And I have so much compassion for that question and for anyone that is feeling that. I can tell you on my own journey, and Michael, I know a lot about your journey as well. People might look at us where we are now and go, oh, you don't understand. You don't know what my life has been like. And I think part of each of our own spiritual paths to get to this place was going through what seemed like really difficult things at the time. I was diagnosed at 26 years old with a very advanced stage of melanoma. My brother died suddenly in a car crash. My cousin died instantly in an airplane crash. My parents have gotten divorced. I have gone through my own divorce. I created a career that I thought was what would make me happy and successful. And at the height of my career, felt called to something greater, not knowing what that was, and walked away from absolutely everything that was safe and secure in my life. We have both talked about our parents' journeys and what that experience is like. And so I, in my own way, have had those moments where I felt like my whole life was falling apart, where I felt like everything had broken apart. And I know it's incredibly challenging at those times. And I know that it is inviting you into something more and something greater. And while I wouldn't wish any of those things on anyone, some of the things that at the time seemed like the very worst things that happened to me ended up being my greatest gifts because they were the catalyst to my own awakening, coming into my own self-realization, really discovering what my own highest potential was here on earth, what my gifts were. And so if you can see these times, have compassion for yourself, obviously, but see these as an opportunity to really awaken more fully, to go deeper into the truth of who you are and the love that you are, so that you can get clear on what your purpose is and why you are really here. And so this is happening individually and it's happening collectively on our planet from my perspective. I know we can look at certain events and say that's so wrong. But you might look back at that same event several years later and see the gift in it or the blessing in it or how it changed the trajectory of your own path such that you are now living your purpose. And that thing that seemed like the worst thing ever was really what got you on the path to who you want to be.
Thank you. And thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there. Now, it's interesting because she called it a broken world, and then he circled back to that and said, is it really a broken world? And then she said no. So she definitely contradicted herself there. And then goes in this whole thing about personal struggles and challenges like deaths of family members, divorce, cancer, and things like this, and finding your purpose and changing everything. And this being, there is a catalyst to her spiritual awakening. And there usually is. There's usually either a profound healing or an illness and then a healing, and then or some other big event or a series of events that all in their own right are big and very life changing and shifting. But then when they're so close together, they will impose a different way of feeling in yourself, in your beingness, and they will be these moments that are literally written into your divine design that are meant to happen so you can witness certain loops and karma and wounds that you couldn't have been able to witness without those experiences. So she's not exactly saying that. She's not bringing up anything about divine design. She's saying that, well, when you have a tough time in life, it can feel like, or there's these events in life or events with the collective, that there's all these, things, or there's these things going on in the world that aren't great. We don't like them to happen, but she's not bringing up anything that has to do with the spiritual war, that you going through any of these things have to do with your divine design, or being under the influence, or others in your life being under the influence of the dark side, parasites and their systems of control, and how things can develop, especially when you're going through a spiritual awakening, to get you more confused and off track, because within the spiritual war, those who are waking up are very threatening to the status quo. There's a purpose that for all of this. It's not just everybody to have better lives and to people not to have wars. It goes so much deeper than that. So that is just something really important to think about here. What exactly, where her frame of mind is when it comes to reality, and why, first off, you would have all these challenges. What is that catalyst for the spiritual war? For spiritual awakening, and the absence of explaining the spiritual war or any type of actual negative attack against you. She's kind of making it all seem like shit happens. Please chime in if you disagree with what I'm saying, or you have another way or whatever. But, feel free to chime in. And I can see the chat from my phone here, but I'm going to go ahead and continue.
Thank you for sharing from the heart. It's, we've talked about this time, and we're not going to go into current events today. We don't have to, because whenever you're watching this, there is a new current event. This we can be certain. This is the year of the quickening. However, every single thing that's taken place in my life, everything has turned out in the long term to have some amazing benefit to it, some amazing shift in the trajectory. And when I look at what's going on in all of humanity, and certainly what's going on in this country, which seems apparently to be a shell of its former self, I truly believe everything can be here to serve us as well. But it comes down to one key word that I'd love you to talk about: choice.
One of my favorite words. Everything is a choice in your life. How your perspective on any situation is a choice. What you think is a choice. What you do is a choice. What you don't do is a choice, right? And so, it all comes down to this in your life of what are you choosing? You are getting more of what you focus on. So if you are focused on all the things that are wrong, you're just going to continue to see more and more things that are wrong. If you deeply, truly want peace on earth, then you must create it and choose it for yourself. And ultimately, I think the highest word there is choose it. The peace is already within you. It's whether you choose it or not. And what you are choosing and your inner state of being is what you are contributing in any moment to the collective consciousness. Think about it like this. Many of your viewers, I would assume, are very passionate about the planet and not polluting the planet. And we can see from a physical reality when someone takes something that is a pollutant and puts it on or into the earth, right? But I want you to think about your own thoughts, your own feelings in the same way. Whatever you are feeling is what you are contributing to humanity, to the collective. So if you've got all this anger and if you've got all this resentment and hatred, and you're looking at the world and saying, well, look, it's such a terrible world, that's what you are contributing to the mass conscious collective. So most of us would never, ever intentionally pollute our planet. And yet we don't realize how thoughts that are of fear, lack, limitation, separation, judgment are really polluting our collective consciousness. But most importantly, your state of being. And that has to come first. Most people want to save the world, and they want people to be happy, but that happiness has to come through you. If you want joy and love, then it's about choosing the joy and love that is already within you, and that's what you are contributing. It does.
Okay. So let's just pause it here. This is exactly what we're talking about when it comes to consciousness and the state of being and what reality is and what intention is and what choice is, because these things overlap. And so much of what she's saying is true, but she's missing so much at the same time. So let's just take a look here. Nicole says, you are the only one who I know that talks about the spiritual war. Thanks. I'm the only one I know too. And as far as AI is concerned, I'm the only one as well. So there's that. Ileana's here. Hey, love. And I'm glad you're here, sweetheart. You really didn't miss much. So I had some serious technical issues earlier, but here we are. Hopefully people can find it because it's a whole new stream than what I gave people, and it was challenging to get here. But anyway, here we are. Nicole says, this is actually hard to watch, listen to. Sarah's commentary, that is because you are getting bombarded with negativity, which is my experience. It's hard to pull up a peaceful state of being. Yeah. And I'm going to, because I don't want to keep it on this. Just let's go back here for a second. I'm going to take it off. We'll go back there in a second, but let's go. Oh my God. Let me just come here. And then we'll go back. Because yeah. There's definitely a few things going on here. And this is the classic, hey, your life and what's going on with what's happening in your consciousness is 100% your choice. You can be positive or you can be negative. You can focus on all the bad, horrible shit going on in the world and the bad, horrible people, or you could go, no, I'm not paying attention to that. That has nothing to do with me. And whatever individual things are going on with people, their mental illness, their toxicity, their dysfunctional relationships, their violence, their control, manipulation, whatever that it happens to be going on, whether it's directed at me, it's in my family, it's in my neighborhood, it's in the world, that has nothing to do with me. I am going to just focus on the positive. I am creating my reality. And so if I get upset about all the things that are going on in the world, or all the negativity or all the toxicity, then that's going to mess with my timeline. So what she's presenting is you've got A or you got B. And there's actually a middle point there that her and what everybody else that has this frame of mind is missing. And that is, you can know that yes, what's going on with you on every level is ultimately a choice point of what you're going to pay attention to. But you can't be dealing with attacks from the dark side in various ways because you're a divine incarnate, and there's going to be infiltration of those around you and things going on around you to distort you, to distract you, to put you in chaos, to make things difficult in your life. So you're so distracted with whatever it is, regardless of how spiritual you are. If there's a bunch of shit going on in your life and you have to take care of whatever and deal with chaos in the various ways that it goes on. Now, you know, there's catalyst moments that must happen because they're part of us awakening. But then at the same time, there's also just the flat out ingrained psychic attack and spiritual war that's happening too. It's multi-layered. It's not just one thing happening all the time. And that's why it's so fucking hard. But if we're looking at reality and going, it's all my choice and my, everything is up to me to decide my reality, that's not true too, because it's just not true. There's other forces in creation that are pulling the strings in different ways. There's the light and there's the dark. And yes, you have choices. You also have choices to see everything as it is and not just decide, I'm going to focus on the positive and I'm going to be positive and I'm going to believe that, everything happens for a reason and blah, 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 blah. I mean, you can also be like, okay, I definitely have choices to make for my timeline, but I can also know that there's influences going on in the world, that people don't do crazy, abusive, toxic, violent shit for no reason other than they felt like it, or they're mentally ill or whatever, or they're chronically abusive, they're chronically toxic to the people they're connected to or the systems they're connected to, regardless of, of what it is, and just be like, oh, well, when the truth is that there's actual beings that are literally possessing people to do the things that they do. So these two realities can coexist at the same time. Both things can be true. There can be darkness, there can be negativity, and there can be positivity. And you can definitely ascend and work into your higher timelines, knowing that that there is also a spiritual war. And in fact, that is how you truly level up, is by seeing the full picture, not just by going, okay, the world is crazy, people are crazy, and I'm just going to try to maneuver around it and not pay attention to all that shit, and I'm just going to do me. And when things go on that affect me, I'm going to just decide to think positively, because again, that is exactly what the parasites and the dark side wants you to do, is to ignore that they exist so they can keep on existing. But we as divine incarnates have to decide, no, I want to know, I want to see, I want to frame my reality by what is really going on, not what I want to happen. Do I want all this stuff to be real? And if we could just decide that we want to just focus on positivity and everything is positive and there are no whatever fill in the blanks, does that mean that those things just disappear? If we all sat around, all the good people, and sat around and just said, okay, we're just going to meditate and put out all this positive energy, that everybody gets healed of their mental disturbances and their feelings of lack and limitation, would it change everything? Because we're putting that energy into the collective with the things that disturb people, with the possession, even if we take the fact that there are entities that possess people to think and do the things that they do, that are so completely seamless and invisible, and only can be felt and seen by certain people who definitely have decided, I need to know and I need to see and I need to feel this for what it is, and not decide that like la 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 la, hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil, and then no evil exists, right? Like, no, it would not change anything. It wouldn't make all of that go away because we're deciding to think positively. We're just deciding not to look at it, not to pay attention to it. Is that the same thing? And to be like, it's our choice, it's our perception, it's our perspective. No, you have to make the choice to deal with the truth. First and foremost, she's saying you have a choice to be positive. And that is completely missing mark. I don't even know if she's anywhere on the target, you guys. Think about that. That's the end all be all. That's the target. Your choice point is positivity, not the truth. So far, I haven't heard her talking about the truth yet. I'm just passionate. I'm not angry. I'm not saying this. I'm just pointing it out. So this can be like, because everybody, like so many people follow this way of thinking that she's presenting, or they're led to it. Be like, oh yeah, that's the way to be. That's the way to be. And that's in the beginning, I was like, oh my God, if you could, like tap in all this beautiful love and light stuff and then just think positively, and then you can get out of your shithole feelings in your body and your life, and you won't be all of this stuff, right? And almost immediately my guides and guardians, including Michael and Gaia and Gabriel and everybody, came through and said, no, that is not the way that it is. That's the way that the dark side wants you to see it. That is the greatest Trojan horse of all, as we put it, to make you think they don't exist at all by feeding you just be positive, because they're going to come in and make everything negative. So if they put all this stuff out there about positivity, then people are going to be like, okay, then people are failing because there's a fucking spiritual war. So people are failing, and just like they're like, but it's really hard to just pay attention to the positive when there's all this crazy shit going on. And I'm being inundated with all of the thought forms and the energies coming through to take me off balance, to make me depressed, to make me frustrated, to make me think of all the negative instead of all the positive. Like, you've got to be able to see it, to beat it, to be that on that positive side. You got to see the whole thing. Your choice point isn't negative or positive. That's what she's saying. It's your choice is for the truth, regardless of the negative or the positive. Then you're somewhere on the target. Okay, let's see. Wow. Let's see what Ileana says. I read your updates you posted today, and it made me think of Star Wars when you spoke about the void. Have you watched the series? Yeah. And it wasn't me speaking about the void. That was Archangel Michael. Oh yeah. Star Wars is a really, really great, and that came through years and years ago. It was like, oh, this is just Star Wars. So it's so funny that you say that, because that's how it came through to me. It was like, oh, so we have the dark side, we have the Sith, we have their dark, they just want control, they want to manipulate, they want to use their power and take from the light side, so there's this whole, it's basically that. It's just really funny. And Nicole says, you just described my life. Yeah. That's how it is for all of us. It's how it is for all of us in our own unique way, especially when we're a divine incarnate and we're smack dab in the middle of the war, and we've dealt with a bunch of of crazy shit for the most part, for most of us, most of our lives, one way or another. We were being bombarded by the sport, being like just sticking out, I guess you could say, energetically and spiritually, because of who we're meant to be. We're meant to not just awaken and be positive and bring love and light and be the change you want to be in the world. I mean, we're supposed to awaken so we can see what's really happening, so we can really dismantle the fear-based material matrix that the dark side is imposing. Because, and they're so proficient at it, because people cannot see it. And anyone like me who talks about this type of stuff, if it's even a thing, get, basically perceived as like, the problem, that, the person, like I said before, the person who is trying to capitalize on making people afraid or something like that. I don't even know exactly, because it doesn't make sense to me. It's like, no, if you really listen to me, I'm trying to tell you what the truth is, so you could then not be in fear, because your fears are your vulnerabilities. Your limitations are your vulnerabilities. So on one side, she's right. Like I said, she's right about these things. But on the other side, that's not the full story. So there's a huge chasm here, because what she's telling people isn't the way that it works. And it's not going to work. You're never going to be as clear, as healed, as wound-free, as connected to the divine, as locked in with your soul, as high life force and powerful that you can actually be, until you understand what's going on and you work from that point of view. Not choice point positive negative, choice point truth. Does that make sense to everybody? Please give me a star or a thumbs up in the chat if you understand, if you agree with what I'm saying here. I hope your ebook, The Spiritual Warrior Guide, goes viral. Oh, thank you. That really needs to go mainstream and put on the bookshelves. Thank you. I appreciate that so much. Yeah, we'll see. I hope so. It's going to be on Kindle, and it's going to be in paperback as well. And I'm not sure if I'm going to have it in other places other than Amazon, because they give you like different kind of paths to that, whether you're exclusively on Amazon or if you're other places. And I haven't decided quite yet what I'm going to do with that. But anyway, thank you. I appreciate that. Oh, yeah. So right off the bat here in the first, 5 minutes, we have the same old, and that love and fluff. Like I said, that sure, you've been through a lot. Sure, the world is, and people are evil. There's evil in the world. There's people making choices that are incomprehensible. There's people doing things that those that are heart-centered, those that are rooted in love and light, that have their humanity intact, are not going to make those choices unless they're under duress, unless they're blackmailed, unless they're in fear of their life. That happens. But aside from that, anybody that I know isn't going to just all of us, we can get frustrated and angry, but and for the majority of people, we have to understand that it's actually not the majority of people that are possessed. It's just that the ones that are holding all the strings to all the things. because again, like I've said before, if it was at such a level of the dark side controlling everybody to that degree, we would just kill we would end ourselves, and then they would end because we would end. And the light has enough or is anchored enough in most of humanity, and definitely through divine incarnates. If anything, we get so frustrated and depressed that so many divine incarnate empaths and light warriors, light bodies, however you want to classify us, divine incarnates will end themselves because they get so twisted up and confused, and they can never escape the maze, and nobody can see it and understand it, and they don't understand it. And so that happens a lot. But at the end of the day, the dark they want to control us, or they want to eliminate us, or they want to use us to control and manipulate others too. So that happens. Ileana says, so it's like a small group of them compared to the light. Yeah, I mean, we have to see this, right? Like, if we look in the world, if we look in our communities, yeah, there's levels and grades of control and manipulation and brainwashing and indoctrination, and everybody has some type of indoctrination into how this, and is controlled and manipulated about how this reality works. That is systemic throughout the collective. Even if some people are like, oh no, there's definitely spiritual stuff and there's definitely other beings, and there, but for people to really understand what is happening, that there is a spiritual war, that there are parasites, that there are systems in place to control humanity. But we do have the big major players that have more control through what is also, so we see a person, but that, those people that are in positions of power in government, in corporations, all across different, whatever genres of life and stuff. And these are all the things that I get into in the spiritual war guide, the many various weapons of the spiritual war and how things work, but also how the light work as well, and how powerful the light was. So it's super important to understand that the light is more powerful. The light is gaining speed and power and momentum more than the dark can keep up with. The dark always, like I've said before, they overcorrect. They have their people that they're possessing do things that really send out shock waves to the masses. And there's just a constant new thing or things in the world for people to be upset and distracted and fighting about. And that is like, if our world, if our reality was a house, the house would be underwater with all that. But at the same time, we have those of us who, even though we have been and bought into the whole reality as we know it, even if we've had, some inklings of other things taking place in the world, that we are aligned with the light, that there's more good people, more good, loving people, even if they are confused, even if they are asleep, even if they are perpetuating the stories themselves, because that's how the system works. You train us young, and then you grow up in it, and then you train the young, and then it just keeps perpetuating. It's like once you train an animal about reality, you don't have to keep training the reality into the animal. It understands what reality is. You framed reality, and then that animal just lives from that framework. And the framework holds up the reality to be what it is. It validates. So all the fears that get injected into us through whatever various systems and situations and experiences, and the way that energy works, validates it. So it just keeps on using what it created before to create more and more and more of the same thing. And then it just shifts and changes as time moves on, because also we have the light coming in to inject us with information and light codes and ascension and spirituality and all of these things, to be like, hey, there's this whole other thing going on here. There are angels, there are ancestors, there is consciousness of Gaia, there is nature, there is love, and there is light, and there is healing where you didn't think you could heal, and all of this is real, and you can connect with us, and et cetera, et cetera. We can help you. You're meant to know that. You're meant to connect to all of that. Like Michael said in the channeling that I got, it's like we've been coming at you a certain way, and you've been thinking about spirituality a certain way, but I don't know what is going on with the color of my video. It keeps changing. We've been coming at all of this, and messaging and things have been hitting your consciousness in a certain way about what is going on, but it needs to change. You need to understand the purpose of connecting and awakening and being aware that there are us, the archangels, and that there are beings, and that Gaia is conscious, and that you're meant to know your divine design. You're meant to be conscious, and you're there for a purpose and see, this is where like people just kind of go, okay, so spiritual awakening is so you can get conscious and lead the life you were meant to lead, like she was saying. But it's like, to what end? To what end and what for? And it's not just for the experience of it. It's because we're here for a purpose, and that is to wake up, connect through and with our divine design, with our soul family, to help support each other, to help each other see and move through the spiritual war, to anchor in spiritual technology. So for the generations that come next, which is also us the next times around, so that we're building frameworks. So the ones that are coming behind us, we're putting out information. We're building an architecture of truth built on the spiritual technology of the divine. And whatever our soul place in that work, on those missions that are ongoing, that is our purpose. And everything that we're meant to do is under that umbrella. So if it's singing, if it's art, if it's writing, if it's healing, if it's all of the above, if it's, guiding, whatever, if it's like whatever. I mean, there's so many different things that can be created and that people can be part of, that's lifting, that is part of the big, huge scaffolding and architecture of higher awareness and consciousness for the purpose of. It's like people wake. It's like, you wake up from what? For what purpose? It's like, this is what so many people are missing. It's like, oh, we just like wake up to, there's so much more in the universe and reality, and there's energy, and there's positive, there's manifesting, and it's not just, randomness and whatever. But then it's like, there's all this other shit going on, but how isn't that all connected into the one thing for people? And for most people, it's not. It's just, oh, this is an individual, like we wake up and it is just what it is. And, it's like we're completely missing what the purpose is. Why is that a thing? Why is that even a thing in the first place? You wake up to do what? To know what is going on. And then suit up from that knowing, from that awareness of the reality of everything that's going on. That's the purpose. That's what you're supposed to do when you wake up. But if the message is just continuing to be, you wake up and then you're meant to learn how to think positively and ignore all the negative stuff, that just perpetuates the spiritual war. So the very people that are like going, you know, people just be more positive, they have this choice point to be positive, then things would change so much better. But if they're just going to be angry and think about all the, you know, the things that aren't right, or the people that are doing bad in the world, they're perpetuating those feelings. Like, that's what she's saying. That's her perception, is that if you're focused on that, then you're adding to that, when it's actually the opposite. If you see it, you're calling it out, and you're not letting it control your perception anymore. Do you see how backwards that is? So while she's saying don't pollute your waters, you're polluting your waters by ignoring it. You're not polluting your waters by seeing it. Oh my God. Like, really? This is the problem. This is what they all do. And they're missing so much of it. Like, they have these, it's like, I only see this, and I have these blinders for reality and what's really going on. And I mean, it's like that. It does make sense. I'm not saying it doesn't make sense from that 3D point of view, but that's still very 3D thinking. So you could be like, oh, I channel and I'm a guide and I do whatever, and I'm spiritually awake and I've had all these things and blah, 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 blah. But if you're still seeing things 3D and teaching this whole thing about, you know, positivity and choices, and saying turn away from that, what makes you angry, turn away and turn that into positive thinking. Your anger, your being upset, and your anger and your awareness to give a shit, that is part of you being an empath, of going, that is not okay. You know, that is just, you know, it's not okay. We're not meant to just be like, well, I'm okay and everything's great over here, so fuck everybody else. Like, everybody, you know, it's like there's so much about that just doesn't hold. It just doesn't hold. Please chime in and let me know if what I'm saying makes sense, because like I said, it is multi-layered and it can be kind of conflating and confusing. Yeah. So, okay. So yeah, go ahead and chime in with all that I've just said, and we'll go ahead and play more and see where we go from here. Let me share the screen back again. And I guess Laura never came back. I don't know what's going on with that lady. But anyway, here we go. Let me fix all this. Let me get back here. Let's open it up.
Always come back to what you choose. And you may feel like you don't have a choice sometimes, but you always, always, always do. It may not instantly change your physical reality, but it will instantly change your way of feeling, your way of being. And that is what ultimately influences and determines our physical reality.
And our perception. I was looking at earlier, the news had chased me down of the day. And then some other things took place. And I said, wait, I need you to step back, Michael. Are these other things that you're experiencing and that have your emotions up? Are your emotions up because of what took place in your life, or your emotions up because you just chose to vibrate at a field of something else out there, and now you've put a different filter on your reality without even realizing it.
Ooh, I love that. And before we started the interview, we talked about your intention of things being really practical and applicable and sort of more how to. And I want to give you a tool for that because it works for me every time. And you said it perfectly, right? When something triggers you, if you're experiencing resistance or reaction, ask yourself, what is this really about? What is this really about? And the answer might come right away. And the answer might come in a few hours, tomorrow. Ask the question. The answer will always come. Sometimes when you're looking for it, and sometimes when you defocus on that thing and go do something that brings you joy, or go for a walk, or go for a run, then all of a sudden you're able to see what it's really about. And so this is never, ever about denying yourself whatever feelings are coming up. It is about staying conscious and present and observing and witnessing what those feelings are and asking the question, what is this really about? And once you know, it almost shifts automatically every time. It really does.
Thank you. Let's go from there. And we're going to go for everybody who's saying, well, are we going to get some predictions? We're going to talk to the council at some point here. But I feel this is actually in many ways more important than the predictions. You can skip ahead, but this is more important because this is what you get to do. And whatever is going to happen out there, and we're going to talk actually more about the predictions of what's going on in here. Whatever happens out there, in many ways, I'm not going to make light of it, has nothing to do with your inner state. And we'll get there in a minute. And you as the audience, you can challenge me on this. But I want to go to kind of a new thought, new age movement that can get you in trouble based on something you were saying earlier, which is, in a sense, we're responsible for what's taking place in our world, based on where we put our thought, put our awareness, put our hearts. At the same time, I don't want people to feel that they were smoted, for lack of another term, because of a thought, because of an action, because of anything like that. We wouldn't look at your life and the challenges that we've gone through and say, well, clearly Sara was off path, she was off track, she was having bad thoughts. And that's why these challenges occur. Can you break down the difference for me here?
Well, the perspective I would like to offer is, what if everything is happening for you? And here's a really important next part of that, to bring you into your power. So you can get clear on what you really want and choose your life the way you want it to be. I mentioned that I had cancer at a young age. I do not ever, and will never say to anyone, you caused that because of your negative thinking or your stress or whatever it is. However, one thing I will tell you is I went on a very long and challenging journey with cancer. And there was a moment, not because I was in a high vibration, not because I was in this perfect euphoric state, but literally, it was the very last surgery I had. My doctor said to me, Sara, there's nothing I can do for you. He was frustrated that I wouldn't do radiation and chemo and other things. He said, there's nothing more I can do for you. This is coming from within you. Now, I truly believe one of my angels or one of my guides was speaking through that doctor, because I don't think that was something he was going to say. But I'm telling you, I still get chills in every cell of my body when I repeat that story or share that story, because in that moment, it's like time stopped. I went into a whole nother realm of awareness. And I knew that I felt trapped in a marriage that I hadn't been in for very long. And I didn't want to hurt him or anybody else. And on a very, very subconscious level, I thought it would be easier to die than to do what I know I needed to do, which was get divorced and discover what my real purpose was. In that moment, I knew how subconscious, deep that was. But the moment I saw it and I knew it was gone. I knew the cancer was gone, and I knew I would never have it again. I came out of that surgery, took me about 3 months to heal up. I got divorced. It was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. I didn't know what my purpose was. I didn't even know how to start living my purpose. But that was a very profound moment for me where I knew that that was happening for me. It wasn't there to kill me. It was there so that I really knew the truth of who I am.
Okay, I'm going to stop her there again. And we're going to review here real quick. Because there's a lot, there's a lot that we need to get in here. Let's see, what did we... I will definitely be rewatching this because I keep getting sidetracked and missing a lot. Oh, bummer. Nicole says it definitely makes sense. Oh, Laura is here. Hey, Laura. I'm glad you're here, love. Everything you've said makes complete sense to me. It's really hard to even listen to this after working with you. I'm so thankful I found you and not someone or something like this. Well, I appreciate that. And yeah, so, okay, let's review here what she said about, understanding that everything that all the challenges and stuff, and you can decide to see things as all of the challenges are for you to make you stronger. And I've said that all of the challenges that I've faced with the dark side and people doing what people do, what? Are you okay? You know what? Give me 1 second. I want to check on my other dog. You okay, Cora? I don't know why he usually does that when there's something going on with Cora, but she's fine. Sorry. I just wanted to check and make sure. Oh my gosh, give us a second to regulate. I can't wait till I get my new camera and lights, you guys. So bear with me. All my lives are gonna look better soon. Okay, so on one hand, yeah, absolutely. We can definitely look at, and I've talked about it. It's like all of the challenges that I've dealt with before and after my awakening, understanding that there were parasites and the dark side and all this stuff going on that I had no concept of before and could never even think of on my own. And then seeing my past in a very particular way and understanding that the chronic pain and fatigue and physical, energetic, mental and emotional issues and disturbances that I had in depression because of the way that I felt and everything was because I didn't understand how my body worked and what was going on with it. And that plays out over and over and over again with people. And this is something that Sara is talking about. She didn't understand how her distress in her life with her marriage and whatever was going on there was and that back and forth through the cord that she was connected to through this marriage, and the underlying energies of being trapped, of being so unhappy that you would rather die, is what she said. Not her words, not my words, her words. So unhappy that she would rather die than deal with making choices about her own reality. And what happened was, because she's tethered to this situation with this person, and whatever toxicity was going back and forth there, whatever entrapment was happening, she doesn't elaborate at all and say what was going on there. But I bet you anything, there was a puppet master involved, that there was abuse involved, that there was toxicity involved. I'm feeling that very, very specifically, because there's still pain in her about this. And while she, in that moment, she said she understood, and that's why she was meant to go through all that, to understand and to see how powerful she is to let go of these things, and to change her life and blah, 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 blah. I think that she still hasn't seen the full picture of that and how all of that energy works. She, I think, is fully internalizing the cancer and why the cancer is there to begin with. All of it is fully internalized, and she's still missing the bigger mechanics of what is going on, and what went on and what goes on with people. And she's decided, I created a cancer in me because I was so unhappy with my toxic, maybe very abusive relationship. And I wanted to die, which is what that screams spiritual warfare. Let's just point that out right here. That screams spiritual warfare. And I have no doubt, just by looking at her, she is a divine incarnate empath. She is highly attuned, but she's still at a lower register of consciousness. And so when you're at that lower register of consciousness, when it comes to the divine and being a divine incarnate, you're only going to be able to still see things from that lower consciousness framework, even if you are a divine incarnate, even if you can pick up on angels and get messages and that they're all very positive. Because like I said, and like Michael, I channeled for Michael earlier today, you have to come in, most people do anyway, you have to come in from a certain place of understanding energy and healing and going through healing and clearing a shit ton of energy to get yourself in a place to receive on a higher level, which is also what she says that happened to her. So, but she's just not seeing the whole thing, how it all actually works and why it is what it is. She got cancer not just because she was internalizing all of this, it's because whatever dark, negative puppet master energy that was attached to her relationship and relationships, I don't think it was just the one. I think the big one was probably her marriage, but in any event, speaking, generally, not just about her, but about anybody, when you're in that type of relationship, it's not by accident. That's also part of it too. You're meant to, yes. And you will, as a divine incarnate, you're going to be fodder. You're going to be what the parasites want to mess with and control and abuse and create and cultivate negative energy. And so much of that negative energy going back and forth and perpetuating again and again is going to shape and shift your energy. And it will, for some people, cause cancer, for a lot of people actually. But some people, there's a whole rainbow of ways that our bodies respond to those influences of energy, and especially when we're not aware, when we don't understand how it all works, we're that much more vulnerable for it to affect us in a very deeply physical, energetic way, to cause cancer, to cause malfunctions, to cause chronic pain, fatigue, depression, anxiety, anger, to be when we're open, and when we're like these little satellites picking up from all of this stuff that goes on in the minds and the bodies and the field of everyone. And we don't understand how we're absorbing that. And especially given whatever type of different, profession that we might be in, or where we find ourselves in society, working, just being open to dealing with a lot of people, if that's the case. But it doesn't have to be. But that just multiplies it, of course. And we bounce this energy back and forth on, in all these ways. So anyway, so that's one part of what she's talking about, to get very, very clear. She's making this case that she was able to kind of instantly heal herself from having the awareness that it was the experience of her relationship that was putting so much toxic energy into her body that it was causing cancer. And she at some point made a choice that said, I want out. And if that means to die, then so be it. Right? So then she goes, wait a second. When I also wasn't guided to put more poison into my body through chemo or radiation, she didn't say why she decided not to do that. She just said that her doctor was frustrated that he couldn't help her because she wasn't going to do all this poison business. And then he said, I can't help you. This is coming from you. It's your body. So, and then she has this epiphany. Oh my God, it is my body. It is my choice. It is everything that's going on in my life that's manifesting in my body, that's creating this physical situation, cancer. And then she says, in that moment, she knew the cancer was gone. She had a spontaneous release. She said she had this whole weird whatever. That is 100% the way that it can work. You can have such a profound understanding of what's going on in your body that you now are moving energy in a different way. She had procedures, she did physical stuff, and then yeah, she went through what she went through. And then she didn't have to deal with that cancer anymore, because what did she do? She got divorced. The answer wasn't in the chemo. The answer wasn't even in the cancer. The answer was in something that's still kind of eluding her, which is how the energy actually works and why it was there to begin with. And it wasn't just for her to find out how strong she was, which is kind of what she's implying. Like, we're meant to incarnate here and go through these challenges so we can find our way out and see how strong we are. Not really, actually. It happens a lot of the time, because that's the way the world works. And the dark side put us under duress and psychic and energetic attack in so many different ways. They strip us from our sovereignty. They confuse us. They dumb us down. They put all sorts of bullshit out there in the world about what's really going on in creation, in this realm, with energy, with souls, with spirit, with the light, with the dark. And then shit happens. And then we either get through it because we're connected enough to be guided out of it so we can see what is going on. But not everybody has that experience. So no, we don't necessarily come in going, we're going to put ourselves through hell because hell is the only way that we can learn. It's just the way that most of the time it goes. And because we are what we are, we're targeted to deal with energy, negative energy on such a physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level that it controls our perception, our timelines, and everything else. So then we're in this maze of chaos and distortion and confusion and strife and anger and despair and loneliness and just not understanding just what the hell is actually going on, why people flip and flop, and why energies and people, and why we feel the way that we feel, and all of these things. And you know, it's like, if we could have, you know, decided to incarnate in some bubble society in the middle of nowhere where nobody was infected and didn't know anything about the world, and we were just like these, you know, like whatever incarnates, then we wouldn't have that experience. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we all incarnated on one island and there was no parasites there to mess with any of us, to mess with each other, we would have come up and been born into a complete love and light and a divine experience. But then we wouldn't be able to perceive anything else that was going on in this reality either. So it's like, well, that wouldn't have done any good. We have to put ourselves into where the shit is going down, and we hope and we pray, and we have the divine orchestration and the support of our divine counterparts and our divine design that we have done this again and again and again and again and again. And each time we build on what we understood the first time, and again and again. But this is the first time. These incarnations are different. They're different because we're all connected in a different way through technology. It's different because we have been through this a lot, and now we're going into a different time when it comes to what is happening in all of creation, and where humanity is as a collective, where Gaia is as a collective, and what is happening as far as the collective consciousness and what we're meant to be aware of. And that is definitely all true. We need to be able to be part of it to affect it. But when we're part of it, then we're vulnerable. It's like we're, you know, the soldiers in the airplanes. Now we got to drop into enemy territory all on our own, but still etherically and spiritually and energetically connected, not only to our divine counterparts and soul family on that side of the veil, but on this side of the veil too. And we're meant to reunite. We're meant to come together. We're meant to find each other. But some of us get infiltrated and taken over and controlled and brainwashed against each other. And none of us know what is going on. So yeah, we have to go through it, and hopefully, like I said, come out the other side knowing what the fuck is going on. So now we're in it, but now we can see it. We're meant to see it. The choice point isn't positive or negative. It's the choice point is truth. And the truth is both is happening. Who can look at this reality and go, there's just love and light. All that evil shit just doesn't exist. We have that people that live that reality, and then we have people that live this reality, and that's just the way that it's meant to be. It's like, no, it's all one reality. You can make your choice to decide to see it that way. Decide that we have those who are awake that are causing the chaos and destruction, that are part of the framework of the evil whatever, and all of the things that people can call out as part of that reality, and then go, but I live in this reality. Like, that's some real fine mental gymnastics you're doing there, enlightened one, but that doesn't fix shit. Healing yourself to understand what is actually going on in the world, elevating your vibration to tune in to the higher frequencies and awareness of what is actually happening. That is what we're meant to do. It's actually not all supposed to be rainbows and love and fluff and we're just supposed to manifest everything that we want and live these cushy lives and it's all just goes from shit to comfortable to bliss, and that's what we're meant to do here. Actually, no, that's not what we're actually meant to do here. We're meant to awaken and understand everything that's going on and then strategically work together to live from a different point of view and not let the brainwashing, indoctrination of positive, false spiritual bypass be the new bullshit framework of reality, because it's just another mask. It's the same shit. We could go, oh, religion is so full of shit and blah, 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 and it's indoctrination. But spirituality, that's the way to go. And then if spirituality is just more fucking bullshit, it's the same thing. You're still trapped. If you're going to be like, that's dark, that's evil, but that has nothing to do, like whatever. It's like, okay, so everything that is evil, everything that's possessing people to be and do evil against themselves and each other, we're just going to go, well, that's just like lower level timeline people. And, we're on this side of things. So we just do all this rainbow light shit, right? Okay. I'm going to check in here with the chat. Ileana says, before I awoken and I was a Christian, I tried to explain spiritual warfare like being a light in a world of darkness. You're more of a target for the darkness than a person already living in the dark. Yes, you are. A perfect way to put that. Perfect way to put that. But here's the thing. If you're a divine incarnate who came in with that divine design, like we have a resonance, we have a vibration when we're in womb. The dark side and the light know about us, who we are, and what we're meant to do. Here, once we pop out, before we ever do, our guides and guardians do, but the dark side does too. As our mothers are walking around with us in their bellies, it's just radiating out of there. And the dark know we are there and we are coming. But if we can get indoctrinated into that darkness and stay there, that's what they want. Then we're trapped, and then they're like, all right, then we're just going to take from you, and you're not going to be a problem. You're a problem once you wake up. You're a problem once you wake up. You've always been a problem because you came in with that resonance and you were a threat. But then now when you awaken, you become a problem, especially if you decide to aim for the truth, not just the fluffy positive bullshit. So this is what most people don't understand about spiritual awakening. Oh, you're going to find yourself. You're going to shift all the things that were toxic and negative about your reality. You're going to move towards the love and the light, and you're going to fulfill your destiny of being this beautiful, positive light and ray in the world. And just you being incarnate and being a positive light and ray in the world, that is changing reality. No, that's I mean, we can wish that it was that simple. Like, God, who wouldn't sign up for that shit? If that was true, wouldn't more people be doing it? And wouldn't more people be doing way better through that framework? But what shifted really? Are they still anxious and stressed and depressed and stuck and confused and in pain and chronic? Yep. So what actually shifted? She goes on to say, what you're saying kind of reminds me of that, because lots of people will always say there's spiritual warfare intense after making that choice to follow Jesus. Okay, yeah. So yes, I mean, whether you call it following Jesus or spiritual, that intention to, because here, when you say follow Jesus, it's not about Christianity, it's not about dogma, it's not about religion, it's about truth, because that was what Jesus, that's what he actually went by. He didn't go by this word Jesus. That wasn't his name. His name is Elo. I know you know that. You read the channeling. So it's hard for me to call him Jesus because I know that's not his name and that's not what he went by. But his whole bag was exactly my bag, is the truth. Everything was about the truth. Religion decided, follow me, I'm your savior. If you follow me, I will save you. And for the record, he was like, no, I want to show you what is possible so you could save yourself. There's a huge difference there. You need to see everything first. I can't force you to see. You need to want to see. You need to want the truth. You need to want the actual truth, not the fluffy truth and the things that feel all comfortable and lovey and whatever. First, you need to want the truth, and what he wanted to show people was what it meant to be incarnate, and that you didn't have to live a limited life. He was advanced in his awareness of his divinity, of how he was connected, how energy worked, he was advanced in all of those things, but he was still human. People mistake him that he was not other than human. He was a divine incarnate, but at the end of the day, we're all human. We're designed through our templates, through our blueprints as a human being. That's what he made very clear to me when he was working with me there in the early days, when I was so distraught and confused about what the heck was going on with me, with reality, with everything, because of what I was being pushed to understand in the world from the very beginning, was about all this spiritual war stuff from the very beginning. And like, I didn't get that, first we're going to come at you with all this, easy spiritual stuff, and then you'll graduate into knowing the spiritual war. It was like, no, for infinity, it was from the very beginning. Girl, you need to understand this from day one. And I was just like, I like this whole love and light thing better. How about we do that instead? And there is no, if I just think positively, and like, I really wanted that framework instead. So trust me, I get it. I get wanting to rather believe somebody who says it's your choice to be positive or negative. It's your choice to focus on this or that. It's your choice to change whatever you need to change. And I agree. It is your choice to change whatever it is. But it's also your choice to see the truth for what it is and not to internalize everything. Because not everything is supposed to be internalized. There's multiple things happening at the same time. There's never just one reason why any of it. There's multiple things happening in this reality. There's light, there's dark, there's divine design, there's divine orchestration, there's the dark side doing their shit, their shenanigans. And then there's a light that comes through to inject ideas and creation and technologies that help us. There's the light that comes in through us divine incarnates, whether we're conscious of it or not, to put in the material world what we need to help us. This is why working with Gaia and the whole holistic, shamanistic, all that stuff that has gotten really popular, energy work and all of that, that's because it's out of the framework of any other system other than natural laws, spirituality, and energy, everything that is real. But still, that can get distorted. There's still ways you can manipulate energy and beings that are not of the light, that and those who think they are, working in a certain way with energy or beings or the light or whatever, are still being influenced by the framework of the dark side. Most of the people don't know that that's what's happening, but they're perpetuating the bullshit, the glamoring, the projections, the stories. They're perpetuating, don't see me. I don't exist. I'm invisible and I want to stay that way. I am your puppet master. So yeah, love and light all the shit all you want, because the more you do that, the less you see me. And you're just thinking life is just hard. And life is not just hard. It's different than that. So it's really important to understand it from that point of view when we look at what is being put, into the spiritual circles for people to navigate. And that's why, again, I was guided to take a look at all of this. Okay, so where are we? We are at an hour and a half here. We barely got through, I think, 20 minutes of this video. And let's just check in here, I guess. Give me a second here to come back. Oh, wait, let me cancel this and see what else she said here. Warfare. Okay, so she says, oh, wow. When you were talking about your childhood, it reminded me of reading Ella's story of when he said he also struggled accepting his power and knowledge at such a young age. Yeah, we have a lot in common. And that's something that he kept telling me over and over again. And that he was so different, right? He was so different. He had a really hard time. And very, it wasn't exactly the same, but it was similar, where we stuck out big time. What we did, who we are, how we were, and everything. But, we lived in very different times. And to be that aware and conscious and connected as a child when those around you are not, and that you're part of this bigger thing and what you're meant to do and help people and but you have your own humanity to deal with, so yeah. It's not easy for anybody. It's like people want to paint Ello to be, this thing that he definitely wasn't. He was human. There was not an immaculate conception. He didn't just appear in her womb. There are things that can happen where beings can materialize, but you don't go through a fetal birthing process if you're going to do that. It's just not actually the way that it works. Okay, so let's get back here. Play again.
And so it's not always. So for example, when my brother died in a car accident, I remember until that moment in my day that it was a really great day. There was something I was celebrating that day with friends. And I remember that being a really, really great day and a very happy day. So my brother didn't die in a car accident because I was in a low vibration. Okay. I have a client that was in a car accident, and everyone told her you should have been severely injured or killed. And she says, I remember being in a very high vibration, a very high frequency, and all of that happened. And I remember staying in that vibration. So it wasn't that she was in a low vibration, so she was involved in a car accident, but she truly believes that maintaining a higher level of consciousness and vibration and not going into fear supported her in not being significantly harmed. And so think about your vibration.
Well, yeah, that can be true too. You know, just because that can be true, the other thing doesn't neutralize the other thing, right? I mean, I've had so many near death experiences at various degrees where I was protected and in a bubble of vibration so I wouldn't be harmed, so I wouldn't be, you know, and that was not me doing it. That was it being what is around me to support. I can't even tell you. I mean, we could spend probably a 4-hour live, a 5-6 hour live of me going through all the various almost died or should have died or could have died situations in my personal life. And I didn't know shit about being in a higher vibration. But if you are in a higher vibration, if you are in a place of fear over faith, when you are in a stressful, traumatic or whatever event, sure, that's absolutely going to help you. But again, she's also, you know, talking about how you don't, just because you're in a higher vibration doesn't mean that sometimes shit doesn't happen. But that in itself proves her point wrong when she's like, okay, you just, you know, have a choice point to think positively, and then you're not going to experience the negative things. Well, obviously that's not true either. So it's kind of like, which one is it here? Anyway, let's go on.
Your state of consciousness as what it's really doing to you and how you feel. You can tell how closely you are to your truth by the way that you feel. So don't choose to be in a higher state of consciousness and a higher vibration for any other reason than first and foremost for yourself, because you will feel better. You will feel more empowered. You will feel more clear. And when things happen, what you might have said, oh, that's terrible, now you can see it from a different perspective because you're in a higher level of consciousness. And what might have tripped.
Well, first off, you can't just be like, oh, I want to be in a higher level of consciousness for whatever other reason other than yourself. So you don't have a choice in that matter. Then that's full. If it's not for you and your health and healing and best timelines to lift yourself up, to focus on yourself, to heal your energy, to align with the light. Obviously, that's a very self-centered thing. That's the good thing of being. It's like I wrote an article a long time ago. It was like spirituality must be extremely self-centered and very selfish for it to work, or else you're a martyr and you're full of shit and you're being performative. If you're doing it to save other people or to save, you know, your child or your marriage or to save the world, it's never going to work because your vibration is what everything is going to come from. So yeah, you don't get to just pick and you don't get to just choose, oh, I'm going to have a higher vibration because of anything else. You have to work for that higher vibration and then maintain it. Like that's the way that works.
You up for months or years, you can navigate through with ease and grace and a grander perspective And it might take hours or days versus a longer period of time. Does that make sense?
It does. Thank you again. And you're like going, holy crap, Sara. How do we get to that state or vibrate at that higher state when so you hopped off the table, metaphorically, maybe literally, and you had an experience, and I believe you had a knowing in you. And yet you said, now came the real work. This is the hardest thing I ever had to do.
You know what that was? Not denying my knowing, not doubting my knowing. That is the hardest thing you will do sometimes, is be true to yourself and not doubt yourself.
So what she's talking about right here, and I'm just going to clarify, is knowing what you should do and doing it, and not doubting what you should do. I know I need to leave my husband, so I need to leave my husband, is what she had to deal with. I know that I have to leave my husband. This is untenable. This is not good for me. I can't, whatever. And then doing the things, whatever her knowing was, it was like, we will know what we should do in a whole mess of 100 different ways in our lives, big and small and everything in between. When you're a mature adult, then you do the things that you don't want to do because you know you should do them. When you're a spiritually mature adult, you know that guidance is coming through to move you in the proper direction of your highest timelines for your healing, for your divine connections, for your best timelines, for your divine design. And it's up to you to follow that knowing and to go with that guidance. And she talks about it being difficult because, you have to actually make choices and implement and do the things that are required to change your circumstances and your life piece by piece. But it makes it so much easier when that knowing is clear, when you're not confused about what you should do or how you should do it. And that is why when we heal, when we clear, when we connect, when we transmute, when we do healings and spirit walks and initiations and activations and groups and programs and all the things, at least in my world with people, it's all to that end. It is all to that end, to clear, to heal, to connect, to ground, to receive, so we can be stronger in our own right, be clearer for ourselves, so we don't have the pain, the distortion, the confusion, and we don't get distracted, we don't get baited, so we can be strategic about how to deal with all the shenanigans and the bullshit that happen in this world, to slow us down, to put us in fear, to get us wrapped up in whatever bullshit comes through people on the macro side or the micro side. Either way. Okay, let's continue.
And from my perspective, I see this all the time. And when I began to see it for myself, it is what changed everything. Not denying love for myself, not denying my knowing, not denying my intuition and my truth. And yes, sometimes it takes courage. And people are going to ask you questions like, what are you doing? Or what about this? I mean, you may not know the answer, but you can still know and trust and be true to yourself.
What did you do, and what do we do as we're going through these journeys with the thinking in mind?
I want to stop here because I'm being reminded of somebody that I worked with years and years ago. Gosh, almost 10 years ago. And things came through for her to do or not do or whatever. And she said to me once, she's like, well, I'm not really resonating with that because it feels uncomfortable to me. And I was like, and everything came through was like, whoa, what? So you think that this whole spirituality thing is just going to be like things coming through that's going to be comfortable for you? That your guidance is always going to be stuff you are on board with, that you want to do, that you're excited to do or not do? That, you know, just saying like, I know that it's right because I'm being true to myself. Well, you could be true to yourself and go, well, that's uncomfortable. I don't want to do that. And that's being true to myself. So you got to be very, very careful there. Because I could be true to myself all fucking day long. Yesterday, the day before, and the day before that, going, what's being true to myself is going, I want to get in my car with my dogs and go off for the next 6 weeks and have, you know, go traveling around and not do any work and be a free bird and just, you know, do my ascension on my own and whatever, because that's what sounds really good to me. That's being true to what, like, I, you know, would be great to do on a human aspect level. Like, yeah, like, I don't, you know, want any of this responsibility for facilitating and channeling and showing up and doing lives and being connected to random people and opening up my field to help other people with their crazy shit and what that brings into my world. How about no? When they were like, that's what you're gonna do, I was like, that doesn't sound good or comfortable to me. Why should I do that? Because that's your purpose. Oh, okay. So that's really important to understand. That what is right for you, what you should know, what you should do, what you should implement, much of the time in this world, the real world, the truth of what you're meant to do here as a divine incarnate will be not what you want to do, not what feels good, not what's comfortable, not what, you know, totally resonates with the best, with like, I don't really want to do that. Doesn't sound like fun. I'd rather spend my time doing something else. Yeah, no shit. Yeah, no shit. I'd like to just go sit on a beach in Hawaii for the next 20 years too. That sounds like a great old grand time. No shit. That sounds super duper fun and easy to me. How about I go do that? Because that's not doing the work. Okay.
Which has a whole litany and a whole list of here's why you want to be afraid at this time. Some way out here, some really close to home.
I would go back to that question. What is this really about? So many times that fear is a habit. The council tells us that we are only born with 2 innate fears: the fear of falling and the fear of loud noises. Everything else you have learned. Now, you might not prefer something like a snake, but I remember.
Oh, I love them.
I even have a little home video, right? I have a home video of being a little kid holding a snake and being so excited, like holding this snake. My uncle had it, and it was like a little garden snake. And I was,
oh my God, I loved snakes as a baby, as a kid. I've loved snakes since the time I popped out. I've always loved snakes. Like my mom, there was some place she would take me to this pet store where they had all the reptiles like down low in their enclosures, and she was totally freaked out with snakes, so she hated them. So she would literally leave my carriage in front of the snake area and just leave me there because she didn't want to be around the snakes. But I would scream bloody murder apparently when she would try to take me away from the snakes because I love the snakes so much. Eventually I had a snake of my own, a ball python. His name was Q, and he was so cute.
Holding the snake, and I remember thinking it was the coolest thing ever. And then I learned growing up in Montana that snakes are bad. Snakes can kill you. Rattlesnakes are bad. Snakes are bad. I watched these scary movies about snakes, and all of a sudden I was afraid of snakes, right? Not anymore. But a lot of our fears are learned and then become habits. And so don't judge where it came from. But if you take a breath for a moment, you might see exactly where that fear came from. And you might see exactly that it's this habit of response. And just that awareness can help you shift the fear.
Oh my God, this is painful because, again, she has no understanding, no concept whatsoever that there is a spiritual war and that, I'm sorry, what am I doing? There we go. When she's talking about fears, clearly she doesn't understand how fears work in through the situation with the spiritual war. Clearly. She's right that about the fears that we're innately, that we're born with as babies. Loud noises, can scare a baby. And obviously, well, you're not born knowing that you could even fall to be afraid of it. We're not really afraid of anything when we're born. We get startled by loud noises, and unless somebody drops us, we don't know to be afraid of being dropped or to fall, right? Like, you have to teach a child, that's hot, be afraid of hot shit. That's high. If falling will break your, skin and your bones, So, okay, anyway, but her idea here of fears and not understanding the fear-based material matrix and how the dark side works through our fears. Those are our vulnerabilities. So this is why when people work with me, we start working very quickly on where's your programming? What are your fears? Where are your traumas? What are your triggers? What's your past? Like, what are your wounds? Because all of your fears are wrapped up into all of that stuff. Your anxiety is fear. Your stress is fear. Your worries are fear. There's many different types of ways that we have fears, and we have a shit ton of them. Everybody has many fears. This is one of the things that Gaia, Elo, all, my archangel brothers helped me with in the beginning was, you got to understand what you're afraid of so you can stop being afraid of those things, because those fears are like, the red flags that stick off of us that say, this is how I get controlled. This is how I am vulnerable. And anybody that is attached to, anybody that is attached to a parasite or anyone that aims to control you will see all those red flags stuck in you. They're all your fears, they're all your insecurities, they're all your hangups, all your triggers. That is the goodie bag of the dark side to control you. And that we are courted in a lot of ways to our fears by events and stories that cross over through our incarnations. And we come in here into this reality and into these incarnations with a list of pre-programmed wounds and fears. It's part of our divine design. It's part of to come in already pre-programmed with how we perceive and process our reality, so we can understand those fears and we can dismantle them. Because most fears, 99.999999999% of our fears are projections, and they're not real. They're programs, they're possibilities of what could be real, what could be possible. And then those fears perpetuate our attention. So something she said earlier, the more you think about a thing, the more you create that thing. That's true. That is 100% true. If you're sitting here all day stressing about not having money and not having a job and horrible things happening, and what if more goes wrong, and but what if I don't have the money for those things either, and then soon your whole entire timeline starts shifting to create the reality that you keep thinking about. But if you go, you know what? I'm divinely loved. I'm divinely supported. I'm divinely on track. I'm doing everything that I'm meant to do. I've dismantled. I've healed. I've connected. I'm not going to be abandoned and left without means to support what I'm meant to do. And that's something that I had to really learn, because I dealt with so much attack financially and physically and energetically and just health wise my whole life, to have such a hard time to, take care of myself. Because I'm this psychic physical empath that was always not doing well energetically and physically. And so therefore mentally and emotionally, it's like when my body and my energy was okay, I was doing great. But I would get really depressed if I was in chronic pain and fatigue all the time. I mean, that's just gonna happen. And if you don't understand why, then you got a major problem on your hands, And so I needed to understand my fears. And when it first came through, like, you need to understand how much mental energy you put on the what ifs and the projections and the fears and the triggers and all of the ways that you're wounded, and pay attention to how they come up within you, in your mind, in your body, in your energy, all day, every day. And we'll be with you to point them out. And my guardian angel helped me with it. Gaia helped me with it. My whole team helped me see it when it came up. And I talk about this in the Spiritual War Guide. This is how you take away the power from the dark side, the dark ones, by offloading your bullshit fears, all of the knives that could be turned against you. Every single one of your fears is a knife. And in the beginning, I'm like, well, I guess I'm afraid of, like, what am I afraid of? I was like, I don't think I'm afraid of a whole lot. It was like, okay, let's just start paying attention. And then I did. I started paying attention. And I was like, holy shit, I've got countless fears, countless anxieties, countless shit that I'm constantly thinking about, that I'm worried about, or that get me upset, or that get me triggered, or that piss me off, or get me in a state of judgment about myself or others, or shame, or whatever. Just so much on the small side, on the big side, old, new things, that whatever. It's just, and things that come up every day, do they not? Things to be afraid of, stuff that gets created and put out in the world. It's bad for you. This is bad for you, to be afraid of it. This is toxic. This will kill you. This will, this is bad, whatever. There's always a new thing, or a plethora of new things to get upset about and to be in fear of. But that's what we need to hone in on, are the very things that can be turned against us, that are our vulnerabilities. And those are the things that will be twisted to us. Now, I just watched a video the other day, and I'm kind of considering turning this on, because I've kind of honestly had enough right now. I might move forward later on and just look at some of the channeling that she does at some point. I don't know when they're going to finally get into that. But before we get to the 2.5 hour mark here, I want to share a video that I watched. Was it last night? Now, this was about how this was like the Machiavelli, I think, and how to deal with manipulators and those that are trying to take you down. And it's not in the framework of the spiritual war, of course. It's not in the framework of parasites or anything like that. It's not even talking about narcissists. It's talking about manipulators. And I kind of even like that better, to be honest with you. Sorry, I keep shaking this. because it is all manipulators, and manipulation comes in many forms through and by many various ways. So this is one of those faceless YouTube channels, but it got my attention because I wanted to see what it said. And it's really, really a good thing to watch. I'm actually guided to shift and stop watching her for the next 30 minutes. I think you all are probably okay with that. I can feel that you're probably all kind of had enough of this conversation as well. And I do want to say, first off, she's absolutely gorgeous. She is perfection. Absolutely a beautiful divine incarnate. She looks angelic. She looks like a divine incarnate. And you can tell that she is trying to be that positive spiritual leader. And I don't know anything about this other guy, but he seems to have a channel, and maybe I don't know either of these two from Boo, to be honest. So I really didn't even know, was this her channel, and they're always talking together, or it sounds like she's doing an interview on his channel. I really didn't even know. He seems like also absolutely an empath, very, very sweet soul. I want to make it clear, I have no negative energy for either of these people. They're both divine incarnate empaths. They're both on their spiritual awakening and healing journeys. They're attempting to help other people understand how to figure this out. I'm here just pointing out where and what they're missing. And I'm sending all the love and light to them. And I hope at some point they can see it all for what it is and truly take control on a whole other level. Okay, so with that said, just give me a second here to go into my history and find this video. March, what in the world? Okay, let me refresh this, because why is it like yesterday, April 4th? Oh, this is the I'm like, okay, this is not my main account. I have to switch my account to my main one, unfortunately. I'm like, what is going on? All right. My actual YouTube channel is not my main account. I watch everything mostly on my other account. So let me get there. I was so confused. Let me get there real quick. And chime in if you're cool with this. Hopefully you are. Any last parting words that you want to say about the video that we just watched, or anything else about what I've shared so far? I totally appreciate whatever you want to share and say and all that good stuff. Gosh, how far down? Where in the world? Huh. No, I definitely looked at that after. Sorry, I'm a little confused. Because it's not. Huh. Where are these videos? There was a couple of them that came on, and I was like, all right, I'll watch that. Okay. Yeah, this is not, I don't know what it, okay, let me check on my phone, because that is really bizarre. Just give me 1 second here. Feel free to chime in. It's like stuck on this really interesting me and my face. Okay. Okay, there now it's okay, whatever. It's not showing me. Okay, when I'm stop reacting, stop explaining, start ignoring. Okay, when a manipulator trends. Okay, this one. Oh, there's a few actually from it's the Machiavellian Aura is the channel, and I watched how people handle disrespect. That was a good one, actually. Then when a manipulator turns everyone against you, that was a good one too. But I actually liked this one. It kind of has all of it in there a little bit, how powerful people handle disrespect. And that's like spiritual warfare, psychic attack, when you're being targeted by someone or people to disrupt you. And that is essentially what happens a lot with the spiritual war. So now that I found it here, let me find it. Okay, hopefully it pops up. I put all the things in. Okay, perfect. There it is. Let's get into it. All right, how many views did this get? No, that's subscribers. I can't see views on here for some reason. I don't know how many views this got. I don't know. It's not showing me, but anyway. All right, here we go.
You have been disrespected. Someone looked at you and decided you were not worthy of their respect. They dismissed you. They mocked you. They undermined you in front of others. And in that moment, something inside you burned. You wanted to react. You wanted to explode. You wanted to show them exactly who they were dealing with. But here is what separates the powerful from the powerless. The powerful do not react. They respond. And there is a difference that most people will never understand. Niccolo Machiavelli understood this over 500 years ago. He watched princes rise and fall. He studied the ruthless and the weak. He documented exactly how power works in a world that does not care about your feelings. And today, I am going to hand you that knowledge. This is not about revenge. This is about transformation. By the end of this monologue, you will see disrespect differently. You will handle it differently. You will become the kind of person who cannot be touched by the words and actions of lesser minds. So sit down, lock in, and listen carefully, because what you are about to learn will change the way you move through this world forever. The nature of disrespect. Before you can conquer disrespect, you must understand what it truly is. Disrespect is not about you. It never was. Disrespect is a test. It is a probe sent out by people who are uncertain of their own position. They push against you to see what you are made of. They want to know if you are someone to fear or someone to dominate. Machiavelli understood that men are constantly measuring each other. Every room you enter is a battlefield of invisible hierarchies. People are watching, they are calculating, and the moment they sense weakness, they will exploit it without hesitation. This is human nature.
Okay, he's saying this is human nature, but this is the spiritual war nature. This is people who are parasitic that are going, can I control you? Can I manipulate you? What are your triggers? What are your fears? What are your vulnerabilities? How can I have power over you?
Of its polite disguise. Now here is the truth most people refuse to accept. When someone disrespects you, they are revealing their own insecurity. They are showing you that they feel threatened by your presence. A man who is secure in his power does not waste energy tearing others down. He has nothing to prove. But the insecure, the envious, the small-minded, they cannot help themselves. Your existence irritates them. Your potential haunts them, so they strike first. hoping to cut you down before you rise above them.
And they do that because they're parasitic, because they're programmed to be, and the parasite knows that is somebody to target, and this is how we're going to do it, because the parasite can read you like a book. And this is the other reason why we need to get our fears eliminated, because those who can read us will know this is how we get under their skin. This is how we control. This is how we manipulate. This is how we distract. This is how we get this person into chaos. This is not just human nature like everybody thinks, and how he just said. This is the spiritual war.
This is why you must never take disrespect personally. The moment you do, you have lost. You have handed them the emotional reaction they were hunting for. You have confirmed that their words have power over you. And in the game of power, perception is everything. Machiavelli wrote that it is better to be feared than loved. But what he truly meant was this: it is better to be unreadable than predictable. When people cannot figure you out, they hesitate. When they hesitate, you control the frame. Disrespect is a test, and you are about to learn how to pass it every single time. The weak man's response. Let me show you exactly what weakness looks like. A weak man gets disrespected and he explodes. His face turns red, his voice rises, his body tenses up like a child about to throw a tantrum. He thinks he is defending his honor. He thinks he is showing strength. But everyone watching sees the truth. They see a man who has lost control. They see a man whose emotions can be hijacked by anyone bold enough to push his buttons. This is the trap, and most men fall into it without even realizing what happened. The weak man believes that anger is power. He confuses volume with dominance. He thinks that if he shouts,
like I said the other day, when you don't respond, when you don't take the bait, when you see things for what it is and don't allow yourself to be drawn into it, that is actually power. But you have to see it for what it is first. Let them think you're the fool. Let them think they're getting away with something. It's your ego that wants to be like, I'm right. I see you. I'm not a fool. I'm angry. You disrespected me. You did something bad to me. So I'm going to call you out. I'm going to come against you. I'm going to, like this is so classic spiritual war. It's basic, most basic.
Louder or threatens harder, he will regain respect. But the opposite occurs. Every emotional outburst is a confession. It tells the world that you are fragile. It tells your enemies exactly how to defeat you. All they have to do is provoke you, and you will destroy yourself. Machiavelli warned against this centuries ago. He wrote that a prince must never act out of passion. Passion blinds you. Passion makes you predictable, and predictability is death in the arena of power. The weak man also makes another fatal mistake. He responds immediately. He cannot wait. He cannot pause. He cannot let the moment breathe. So he fires back with whatever comes to mind first. Usually something foolish, something he will regret, something that makes him look smaller than he did before. Time is a weapon, and the weak man does not know how to use it. He gives away his power in seconds because he cannot tolerate the discomfort of restraint. This is why most men stay powerless their entire lives.
But this is also how things work with parasites. They make you feel off balance, uneasy, and urgent, that you have to respond. You're on the defense. You struggle so much to get to have your own place and position and power, that by doing that, you're doing exactly what they want you to do. You're losing your shit one way or another, and they're getting your negative energy. At the end of the day, this is talking about power. Who has power? Who has the upper hand? Who's smarter in this situation? But at the end of the day, this is about energy. This is about cultivating negative energy. And when you're being manipulated, when you're being disrespected, when you're being dismissed, when your experience is attempting to be controlled, then that will usually elicit defense, a defensive position, posture, and response. And that's the wrong thing to do, because that is you creating more negative energy instead of not reacting. So we have to just kind of superimpose our idea of what he's talking about here to make it make sense.
They are slaves to their reactions, but you will be different. You are going to learn another way. The Machiavellian mindset. Now let me introduce you to a different kind of man, a man who operates on a level most people cannot comprehend. This is the Machiavellian. He sees disrespect and feels nothing, not because he is numb, not because he does not notice, but because he has trained himself to separate emotion from strategy. While others react, he calculates. While others burn, he observes. He asks himself one simple question: what is the most advantageous move I can make right now? This is cold psychology.
Okay, we're going to stop it here because we need to take it a step further. Those of us that are awake, we don't just say, what should I do right now? And let me figure out how should I handle this situation. We go to our guidance. We ask, okay, how should I handle this person, this situation, this parasite, how the chaos, the distortion, the manipulation, the disrespect, the way that they're trying to trigger me, the way that they're trying to get me wrapped up in their thing, their emergency, their whatever, whether it has something to do with me or doesn't. How should I handle this situation? And this is the way I've been working for over a decade now. How do I handle this person in this situation through divine guidance? Because let's be clear, I don't know shit. I have my ideas. I have my perceptions. I have my feelings. I have energy. I have vibes. I have facts about what happened, what I saw, what I heard, and what transpired to some degree. But at the end of the day, I don't know shit. Do I? I gotta know I don't know. I gotta be like, am I meant to figure this riddle out and get myself out of this maze and how to handle this monster or chaotic situation? Or do my divine guides and guardians know? And I am going to not do anything other than open up to what I should do by divine guidance. Typically, it's wait. Not all the time. Sometimes it's act very quickly. Sometimes it is maintain your boundaries in a very real but controlled way. Sometimes it's fully ignore. Sometimes it can be very different. It depends on the situation. But let me tell you something. I'm not sitting here I don't want to make it sound like I have all the answers all the time. I get the answers all the time. I get direction. I get guidance to do what I'm meant to do in any given situation. So I can do that strategically because I don't know what I should do. I know what my human aspect might want to do, but that's usually not the thing I should be doing.
This is how emperors think. This is how men who shape history operate when the world tries to provoke them. The Machiavellian understands that emotions are data, not commands. He feels anger rise inside him. He acknowledges it. And then he sets it aside like a tool he does not need at this moment. He refuses to let temporary feelings dictate permanent decisions.
Okay, so here we are. When we talk about what we're going to do and how we're going to do it. First off, we do need to control our emotions. We need to see like, oh, I'm getting angry. I'm getting put off. I'm getting disturbed in some way. My field is feeling disturbed. I'm irked. Feathers are ruffled. Something is happening here. I'm feeling anger. I'm feeling frustration. I'm feeling irritation towards this person or people. So right then, that is exactly what they want you to feel. Now, psychologically, from a human standpoint, in the way most people see reality, they think if I don't express it to the person how angry I am, it doesn't count. But in our reality and through the framework and the understanding of the truth of the spiritual war and how energy and parasites work, you don't have to say shit. Let me be clear. You don't have to express or emote to that person to give them your life force, your negative energy. You're courted. That parasite that's connected to them, that's already triggered you, it knows all the red flags and all the vulnerabilities. Remember, you didn't come in talking about every single one of those things, did you? No. So how does it work seem so well? How do some people just right to the soft spot of what's going to piss you off, right? Because inside of you, those programs, those fears are running. This is, again, back to what I was saying. The less fears, the less weapons against you. So when that fear, that irritation, that wound is poked at, it's already happening. Your energy is already taking a dive and you're already thinking shit, right? You're already disturbed. You don't have to say or do anything to feed the dark side with your negative energy. You're courted to the whole thing all the time. So the real trick here is you know what he said? Like, I feel the anger and then I put it aside. Well, it's to understand why you're feeling angry, to go, oh, I still got some triggers, some wounds, something going on there that can be exploited. So I'm going to make a note of that. And is it a full moon? Is other shit going on? Am I extra sensitive? Are they coming at me harder because there is the thinning veil and the dark side is working extra hard right now to try to get me? And so these things are working against me at the same time. Let me just take a look at the whole picture here. Understand that I've already gotten upset. Let's take a note as to what that is about, kind of like what Sara was talking about, but it helps us to go, what exactly is this about? So we can understand how we need to go back and understand that was used against us and for it to stop being used against us again. This is where the challenge becomes your strength, because now you're learning again what is an operation, how you're feeling, and what to do about it. So you have to, you're not going to get triggered and angry over something that doesn't mean nothing to you, right? So first off, that mechanism has been triggered. Then you have to be aware of that it did and why it did in the bigger framework of things. And then you have to go, I'm going to process these emotions. I'm going to let myself feel what I'm feeling, acknowledge the situation, not stuff it, not set it aside, not pretend it doesn't happen, not get mad at myself for being mad at whatever. You're going, beating yourself up because you have a reaction because something hit you, a wound that whatever, right? So then you have to comfort yourself like, oh no, baby still has a bruise and it just got poked. So we're going to take care of that. We're going to note that. We're going to come back and heal that. We're going to pay some attention to that. What is that about? And then we're going to go, dear guides and guardians, guardian angel, archangels, Gaia, ascended masters, whomever, help me work through this pain and anger and these emotions. Help me transmute them. What should I do to get past myself in this shit right now so I can be clear, receive guidance, and then deal accordingly? That is mastery. But
This is
mastery.
This is what separates kings from peasants. Emotional detachment is not weakness. It is the ultimate weapon. When you detach from the need to react, you gain something most men never possess. You gain options. You can choose to respond. You can choose to ignore. You can choose to wait and strike later when the moment serves you. The Machiavellian is never forced into action. He acts on his own terms, his own timeline, his own battlefield. And here is what makes this mindset terrifying to others. They cannot read him. They throw insults. Nothing. They spread rumors, silence. They try to humiliate him. He smiles and walks away. This unpredictability creates fear. It creates doubt. It makes people wonder what he knows that they do not. And that wondering is where his power lives. You are not here to react. You are here to rule. So start thinking like someone who already does. Silence as dominance. There is a weapon most men are too afraid to use. It costs nothing. It requires no physical strength, yet it can break a man faster than any insult ever could. That weapon is silence. When someone disrespects you and you say nothing, something shifts in the room, the air changes, tension builds, and the person who attacked you suddenly feels exposed. They expected a reaction, they prepared for a fight, but you gave them nothing, and now they are standing alone in the chaos they created, looking foolish. Silence is dominance because it refuses to validate the attack.
Okay, but like I said, in the real world, you don't necessarily have to say anything. Your energy has already shifted, but it's definitely better to not react and to be quiet, to be silent, to take time to process, to calm down, to seek guidance, to sleep on it, to take a bath, take a walk, whatever. But this doesn't negate what is already in play. The game has started whether you are responding outwardly or not. Again, this is not what anybody is going to tell you, not what this video is saying. It's saying if you set your emotions aside and you don't say anything, that is mastery over this situation and this person that's trying to manipulate you. And the fact of the matter is that they already got you by your reaction, and they're already them and their puppet master, and the whole system of the dark in the spiritual war is already winning because you're bothered.
Says without words that this person is not worth your energy. It communicates that their opinion holds no weight in your world, and that realization destroys people more than any comeback ever could. Machiavelli knew that powerful men control the frame of every interaction. The frame is the invisible structure that determines who holds power in any exchange. When someone disrespects you and you explode, they control the frame. You are now dancing to their rhythm. But when you remain silent, you snatch the frame away from them.
Look at that. Look at this puppet master right here.
You force them to wonder. You force them to doubt. You make them replay the moment over and over, asking themselves what you are planning. This is psychological warfare without firing a single shot. Silence also exposes your enemy to the crowd. When you do not respond, all eyes turn to them. People start to see the attacker for what they truly are: petty, desperate, unworthy of acknowledgement. Your silence lets their own behavior condemn them. You do not have to destroy your enemies. Sometimes you just have to step back and let them destroy themselves. Master this weapon. Let silence speak louder than anything you could ever say.
Well, that's true. And the other thing that I want to talk about that I was actually that I forgot, Nicole Abney brought it up in one of the past lives, where she says, and she said something to the effect of when I talk to this parasite and tell it that I see it, or she said something to that effect, and I meant to circle back to that. But you can't telepathically speak to the one that's trying to dominate you and take power over you. You can speak to their parasite telepathically and let it know that you're aware that it's trying to control you through the host, and that parasite is trying to get, or that parasite is puppet mastering the person's behavior, what they're talking about, their aggression towards you in whatever way that it is. And sometimes it can be very, very intense. I've said before, I've never been more verbally or physically also attacked than after I spiritually awoke. And I could see there was a few situations where, I mean, I was still learning and figuring it out, and just trying to discern who's who and what's what and how things work, because people present a certain way, but the reality could be very, 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 and is a lot of times very different from who and what they actually are. And there was a few times where I was having a conversation with somebody, and I said a word that triggered them. It wasn't the whole conversation. It wasn't any kind of argument. We were having just a normal conversation, but they had been pre-programmed to react when certain words were said. And this one guy, I said something, I can't even remember what the conversation is right now, but I said the word heart, and he completely lost his shit. Completely lost his ever-loving shit all over me. And I'm not the tiniest of women, but I'm not the biggest of women either. I'm 5'5.5". I weigh about 120 pounds. And this guy weighed probably 380 pounds, and he was 6'7". He was like an ogre. He was like, he could have been in, Lord of the Rings or Game of Thrones. Like, you put him in a freaking costume from the Middle Ages and give him a sword, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy just time traveled. Like, he was this massive guy, and we were having this conversation. He did some he was not autonomous, but we were having this conversation when I said, we were just talking about, like, it was just a nothing burger. And then I said the word heart, and that flip that happens with people who are parasitic. Typically, you usually need to have some type of thing happen. Now, here there wasn't a thing that happened. That was the thing. I said blah 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 heart, and I saw him shift, and he went ape shit on me. And was his parasite, and what came through was, you need to stand your ground, you need to not react, you need to not, because he was literally like towering over me and screaming at me. And he was just like a neighbor guy. I hadn't really known him. We didn't have any big connection. Like, he wasn't a guy I dated. He wasn't a friend of mine. Like, he was just a neighbor who was interested in me. And of course, because he was parasitic, and he was screaming at me, and like the energy that was coming from him, and all I could hear was, just stand your ground right now. Don't do anything. because he's been triggered. And I saw the whole thing happen. It was kind of fascinating, but also really, it was another one of those moments that showed me what can happen without anything leading up to it that would tell you, oh, you're getting into danger zone here with this person. Like, no. So I just stood there while this man was towering over me, and I was like, is he going to hit me? Is he going to throw me down? Is he going to punch me in the face? Is he going to take out a gun? Is he going to stab me? Like, what? I don't know what's going to happen right now, but I cannot react in a fearful or aggressive way back. I just stood there, and I like just slowly backed up, and he just like, I just kept like trying to separate myself, getting some more distance from him because we were so close. And he tried to advance on me, and then we were outside, and somebody came around the corner and was like, what the hell is going on? Like one of the other guys. And I'm like, I'm going to go inside. I didn't even acknowledge it. I'm like, because as soon as he turned around, he got the guy's attention that was screaming at me. The guy turned around, and then I'm like, I'm out of here. And I literally ran home, and I didn't, engage anymore there, but cat was out of the bag. It was like, I had a feeling about him, but bam, there you go. Nicole Abney says, I tell it that it has no power, and I can't use his dad to hurt us. And can't use his dad to hurt us. Oh. Okay. Sometimes he just leaves the room after I call it out. Yeah, usually they will. Thank you for that, Nicole, by the way. I didn't even know you were there. Yeah, usually that is what they will do. They will, if you telepathically say, hey, I see you. I know that you're there. I know that you're using this person to try to get to me, that you are using their negative energy to get my negative energy. You want me to react. I see you, little buggy parasite, for what you are. I know that you're there. And then they usually they scramble, and they just typically, they may get a little agitated because the person doesn't know what's going on. You're not outwardly talking to the person. You're telepathically communicating with their parasite. And because they're psychic, they hear you. They've been communicating with you psychically. Now you're communicating with them psychically. And that works very well. Okay, I'm going to continue this.
Powerful have always...
I don't think I'm going to play this whole thing because we are at that mark. Actually, I think we're actually already a whole hour over, aren't we? I can't tell even time right now. I apologize. But I'm going to play just this. I'm going to let this little part finish, and then I'm going to stop this because I don't want to continue. I'm really hungry. I'm getting tired. My back hurts as I've been sitting in this chair a lot, and I know it's getting late for y'all too, but I'm just going to let this little bit play out, and then we'll wrap up.
He's known this secret. Now you do too. Strategic retaliation. Silence is powerful. But let me be clear about something. Silence does not mean surrender. There are moments when retaliation is necessary. There are moments...
Okay, so I'm going to stop it right there, actually, because that's true. There are moments where retaliation is necessary. However, most of the time we're not guided to retaliate. We're guided to usually we'll be guided to make ourselves smaller and get out and around a situation strategically, rather than being guided to strategically attack back, because then we're doing what the parasite wants us to do. Like, maybe 1 in 20 times I would have been during all of these last 10 plus years when I've been aware of what's going on and what attack is and how it works. Maybe 1 out of 20, I'll be guided to retaliate. Typically, I'm guided to maneuver around and be very, very clear and conscious of everything that's in play and what exactly is the end game here. Where is the weak point that this attack is trying to exploit? Is it another relation? Is it a relationship? Is it my work, my home? Whatever. What is the end game here of what it's trying to weaken in my world? That's important for me to understand so I can strategically maneuver through divine guidance and how I'm supposed to work with this, how I'm supposed to deal with this situation. And again, waiting and being still is only letting things kind of fan out so you can see everything. You know, it's like having a bag full of stuff and you're like, all right, I can kind of see what's going on in there, but I got to pull everything out to really take inventory and see what's happening. And that's the time that you need. But when in doubt, if it's an aggressive situation, then you definitely want to separate yourself from that person in that situation. Talk to the actual parasite itself, if that makes sense, and then wait for further guidance and instruction. And if you're not getting that clearly, then and something is really going on, you are getting psychically attacked, you are getting you are on the defense in a situation in your life with someone or something going on, you can always book a session with me to connect with your guides and guardians and get very, very specific and strategic information as to how to handle something. If it's ongoing, if it's about business or relationship, work, breakups, whatever, it doesn't matter what it is. It's all on the table. As far as what I can help you discern is happening and what's the best course of action moving forward. If you're not clear enough yet, and I say yet because the idea is that at some point you're super duper clear in your own right, you receive divine guidance from your guides and guardians, your guardian angel, Gaia, whomever, to help you get the information that you need to handle anything in your life, any situation, from what I should eat for dinner, what I'm doing with the rest of my day, where I'm moving, how do I handle an abusive person in my life, whatever that it is. So that's the idea. But until you can do that for yourself, know that you can come to me and I can help you with that. All right, I'm going to see what else she wrote here. Whoa. Okay. With the psychic attacks, when I recognize that my thoughts have been hijacked, I tell them they have no power over me or my field, that my field is strong and they don't have my permission. Good. Very, very good. Again, understanding that there is an outer that's trying to come in and influence your field, your vibe, your energy, your life force, your thoughts, your emotions, your perception. Understanding that there's something outside of you that's trying to do that to you, that it's not your pains and your fears and your trauma just acting up for no reason, right? There's something coming through to impose that upon you. And when you can see that for yourself and then go, hey, I see what's going on, and I'm not going to allow it. I'm not going to allow whatever is in the field, if it's another person through cords, if it's a program running through the system right now, whatever that it is, I'm not going to allow, like a lot of times, like, you don't need to know exactly sometimes why things are getting distorted. You just need to go, things are getting distorted. I'm in a funk. And what is that about? Because this isn't my natural state of being. So something is going on. This is coming from somewhere. Whatever that it is not mine. If I could know what it is or who it is or what it's about, great, tell me. And if I need to do something about it, then I will. Otherwise, it doesn't have permission to take over my field, to change my vibration, to change my outlook, my how I'm resonating in this moment, what I'm putting out into the field. It doesn't have permission. If you do know where it's coming from, then you can very specifically say, I'm cutting that person off, that energy off, whatever. This also goes for like attacks of physical energy. So the manipulator, the narcissist, the parasite, whatever, they can use the person's physicality and your sensitivity to the person's physicality against them and you, especially if you're somebody who feels energy. If you're a psychic, physical empath like I am, if you feel in your body what other people feel in their body on a real physical level, then they can make the host feel very uncomfortable or painful in some way, and then project that pain on to you without the person having any awareness that this is going on. Because you are what you are, you're mirroring that pain, you're connected to that person or that situation. So it's just coming through the energy and you are feeling it. So when you can know this is not me, this is I'm mirroring, I'm absorbing, I'm feeling, there's a projection coming towards me to make me feel and react, whether emotionally, physically, energetically, then you are taking control over what is going on in your timeline. And not from a place of denial, not from a place of not seeing the whole picture. You're seeing the whole picture, and now you're in control of it, because that's what we're meant to do as divine incarnates when it comes to all this spiritual war business. We're meant to see it so we can work with it through acknowledgement, through our sovereignty and our autonomy, and us controlling what is happening with us, not just being like, well, I guess I feel like this now. Guess I'm depressed. Guess I'm suicidal today. Well, I didn't feel like that yesterday. Guess that's happening. Oh, I haven't done these, things that are self-destructive. And all of a sudden today I'm thinking about doing very destructive things. I'm getting triggered and irritated in all sorts of ways. And I guess that's just the way that it is. I guess, there's something going on that's making me feel this way. And, I'm just broken or whatever. There's like, who knows how many things that people tell themselves to make sense of the things that don't make sense. When the simplest answer is real, there are beings that are messing with you, with all of us at any chance that they get. And they use other people to do it. Plain and simple. Okay, so I think we're going to end there, you guys. Thanks so much for joining me tonight. I really, really appreciate it. Sorry for all the technical issues there in the beginning. I don't know, but it all worked out. We went through some stuff and discussed some things here. And I hope that it was helpful for people to understand, again, this whole thing about calling out what most experts understand about people, aggression, narcissists, fear, pain, whatever, is from a framework that is still very 3D, that they're not seeing the whole picture of the spiritual war, the light and the dark, and how we are right back in the middle, or how we're in the middle. And remember, the choice point isn't negative or positive. The choice point is the truth. And if you have not yet read today's post that I posted on my blog, on my website, about not only what I'm doing on Wednesday, the next live that I'm doing, going through a very specific video about crystals, because the crystalline matrix, the abundance matrix, is getting highly activated for truth, resonance, and crystals are being activated. We're a crystal, and our crystals that we have are being activated to anchor in this whole wave of truth, so we can see and feel and understand what's truly happening. So that's on Wednesday. But also there is a nice long message that I channeled from Archangel Michael that I highly suggest you take a look at on my website in my Divine Energy Updates. And I guess that's it for tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. Again, I appreciate you. Sweet dreams and all that good stuff. Have a wonderful rest of your night. And I will see you hopefully on Wednesday. Mwah! Bye for now, everybody. Good night.